Um, so first news story is the one from today, which is causing it's causing like havoc on social media. Like I've been like reading tweets all day. All I did was post out the MJF salary like issue, which MJF is having an issue with Tony Khan. It's gone public now because Sean Ross Sapp reported it, even though I said 2-3 months ago that the negotiation thing in 2024 wasn't like a work. He really does have a contract running out in 2024, and he really is saying that without having the permission of Tony Khan. So, and obviously now with Cody Rhodes being good friends with MJF and being in the WWE, like the door is like completely wide open. Mm-hmm. So one thing I reported when people say, "Oh, someone said, why would he leave AEW for WWE?" Apart from, you know,
notoriety and money,
a bigger audience, a route through to like Hollywood, reality TV shows, national exposure,
totally
more commercial interests, real merchandising that sold like not through like only tees or whatever, or pro wrestling tees. So I tweeted out where MJF was on the salary for AEW, which is joint 14th.
Wow, he's 14th. I mean, but that's the thing though, is he signed that contract. And then he built himself up. So should they go, let's renegotiate and give you more now? Or, I mean, it sounds like he's like, no, we'll renegotiate when it's up and I can talk to other people too.
Well, that's not entirely true. Because he signed that first deal when he came in, and then he re-signed a new deal in 2020 where he was ecstatic to be made a millionaire, which he was ecstatic to receive 7 figures. Like, just you know, he wanted $1 million. That was like, and he was like over the moon about it. So actually, you can't put this all down to Tony Khan when MJF got his $1 million, which was his goal, pretty early on, we're talking like a couple of years back now. So I think now with all of these people coming in, he feels that $1 million isn't enough given the landscape of who earns more than him. Now, the 13 people that are in front of him are CM Punk and Jon Moxley, who both earn $5 million a year. Now, when Punk came in at $5 million, there was somebody that told me that Mox had favored nations and got his pay increased by Punk getting $5 million. I don't trust that person enough to completely say that's why Mox is on 5. But I've been told like Mox is on 5 by enough people that I do trust. Whether he got up there or not, I have no idea whether it was due to the structure of his contract that he would get 5 if he did that additional year, which is this year, or whether he would be on 5 anyway. I don't know that information. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But I do know that this year Punk and Mox will make 5. In the 3.5 million to 3 million club, you have Jericho, Bryan, and Omega, right?
Okay.
All right. In the 2 million club, you have the Young Bucks, who renegotiated for 2. You have Hangman Page, who was upgraded to 2. And obviously they knew he were making him champion too, because Tony Khan said he knew his first 4 champions when he started the company. So this is where we're at. So this is why he gets 2 million. And Sting, obviously, people have questioned that and said, "Oh, why would Sting get 2 million?"
Because he's Sting.
Yeah, and he turns up every week.
What a racket! My God.
So the last 3 people ahead of MJF at 1.5 million are Christian, Adam Cole, and Jeff Hardy. Now, Jeff Hardy, obviously, he was a fan of, and Christian and Adam Cole were stolen away from WWE during negotiations with WWE. So they obviously had more money. So that's the people who are in front of him. And on the same money as him, all the people that earn $1 million, Malachi Black, MJF, Samoa Joe, Miro, and the Revival, and JR.
JR only gets $1 million a year.
I
guess that's a lot.
You said only, and people were tweeting out going, "Oh, how does JR get $1 million?" It's like, well, that was the big thing, person that they wanted to take. Like he gave up a lot of guaranteed money on that Legends deal and his WWE Network contract that he had. So I mean, he wasn't getting $1 million, but he was getting stuff. He was getting money.
The problem is I'm probably thinking of old JR, where I go, that were 10 back in the Attitude Era. I mean, my God, he was gone for a while, and I actually bought that New Japan Pro Wrestling pay-per-view
I think that's
he
how they
broadcast it.
I think they regard his presence as signing JR. It makes us something like that. That shows us serious.
Yes.
I think at the time, the acquisition of JR and why he has this deal on $1 million. Like next year, I don't know if JR is going to renew for $1 million. I don't think he's integral to the product to that point. But I mean, you can see that with the way that JR is on commentary. So
yeah.
So what this means is their television income from Dynamite is $43.8 million a year, but the wages of these 19 guys comes to 40 million. Sorry. So that only leaves them 3.8 million, because their original business plan was that their TV deal would cover the revenue of the roster, and everything else, he said, all other revenue he would put back into the business. This company operates at a significant loss. Like this year, if you add the video game onto the wage bill, onto the figure losses, they're probably going to lose over $100 million, which is close to what WCW lost in '99.
Do you give them any leeway by saying, well, they're very new and it's going to be a while? I mean, I know they're on TV now, and it's like, okay, you're there, you should be making money, but it is new, and you try to think.
But he told his dad, his dad signed off on $20 million losses per year, not $100 million losses, $100 million a year. So,
I just think that it's going to take its losses for a while, and their biggest problem is, and I do understand, is that they don't try to grow a new audience, where WWE, I think, tries a little too much to grow a new audience and not cater to the people like us who have been there since the 80s, to where you're like, where's my good? You're doing the kiddie stuff, trying to get more people and doing that, where AEW goes the complete opposite way, where they're like, we're not going to include anyone new. If you're not in on the inside stuff that we talk about, oh, well. And it's stuff like where a New Japan guy comes out, and that crowd goes crazy. And guys like me and you watch and go, who the hell is that?
Right.
That's the problem. There's no middle for either there's no middle for WWE or for AEW. They don't one is catering to everyone new, and the other one is catering to nobody new.
So on their roster, they have 102 male wrestlers, 25 women, 8 announcers, 6 referees, and 5 coaches.
They could trim that down. I think he's letting those contracts go, and people are going to be out of there.
And Brody Lee's son is one of the 102 wrestlers.
Wow. It's nice. It's nice of him. How much is he? Is he getting $1 million too? MJ.
So if you put that, if you do the math on that, you have after you pay these 19 guys, you have around about 120 people to pay out of your own pocket.
See, there are a lot that he could let go. Like this Butcher and the Blade can be gone. That's like immediate. Like he could let Sting go. If you want to get rid of a name, get rid of Sting. I don't know why he's with Darby in the first place. There's no reason for. I'm like, okay, the guy's there. It should be Mick Foley who's on the side of him. I don't know what the hell Sting has to do with it. But there are guys like, I mean, you could let Christian go. That'd be fine too. I mean, who cares? In the long, would you give if Christian's there? He doesn't do anything. But when you look at guys like Jeff Hardy, that's a major name. And so I could see him making more. He is one of the names that came from the big time. Mox, of course, and Punk. Yeah, I get that. They were big time names, and they got there. Or Mox got there when they had nothing. So you know why he threw everything at him. And it was like, this is the first. It was kind of the first. I mean, Jericho was gone, but like a big name that showed up for the first time. Wasn't he pretty much the first one?
Yeah. The first crossover. Crossover, like who both people wanted to. One wanted to keep him, and one wanted to get rid. One wanted to sign off Cross.